before?
早速出たわね。
待ちな。
Oh.
あなた誰？
Hello you beautiful bananas and welcome to my review of Atelier Ryza 2 Lost Legends and the Secret Fairy. Now if you are looking for a very simple, very chilled out, relaxing RPG, then I can happily recommend this game to you. That seems to be the good thing with a lot of the Atelier franchise game, is that they're all just super relaxing, super chilled out. They're great time sinks where you can just play the game, next thing you know 5-7 hours have gone and you haven't even eaten yet. So it's pretty good, it just absorbs you in the world. It's a really fun gameplay loop and it's just good fun to just chill out. Now with that being said, there are some things which irritate me with this game. To start with, there's no English voices, and while that doesn't really bother me because more often than not I listen to the Japanese dub and then have the subtitles, it would be nice for people to have the option, especially when it's a full price game that you're paying for. But yeah, there's no English voices or any other language voices for that matter, you only get the Japanese dub. As far as the audio side of things, the voice acting isn't too bad. It's stereotypical, okay, it's not great. It fits with the characters, does its job. But also the music is a bit odd, and it's not necessarily bad, but it feels kind of out of place for the genre. Like sometimes it feels like you should be in like a World War II game instead with some of the music choices. Yeah, again, some of the songs are okay. It's not going to be a soundtrack that you'll listen to, let's put it that way. Also, the characters themselves, they kind of, none of them are offensive, none of them are particularly annoying. Potentially one of them would be annoying to you. Overall, they're okay. Yeah, there's nothing to write home about. They're more than just placeholder characters, let's put it that way. There's a little bit more depth to them, but not much. Also, as you've seen, the graphics themselves are, as they would say in Kingdom Hearts land, simple and clean. They're nothing spectacular. They all fit pretty nicely. There's no real cel-shaded style to it. It's just very typical anime style graphics. Downside is though some of those areas feel very similar and they feel very much like extensions of places you've already been as opposed to feeling like brand new areas. While some places look fantastic, they do look really great, they're very well animated, others just feel lacking. As far as the gameplay side of things, which kind of irritate me on some of them, is little things like the camera. It keeps resetting itself, even though there's an option which says, oh, camera reset, do you want to turn it off? You're like, yes please. But the camera is too close to the characters just by default, so I keep zooming myself out to make sure I can see as much of the world as possible, but it keeps resetting to that default setting of where it's really close to the character, so it's a bit irritating. Every time you go to a menu or a new screen, you have to reset the camera and zoom it back out. If you're happy with the default setting, then that's fine, but for me it was just too close for comfort. Also some nitpicky things. In the Atelier games, you are an alchemist and you get to find different recipes and then make greater or weaker items using those recipes. And in this, instead of obtaining those recipes by learning new skills or completing quests, more often than not you get those recipes just from skill points. So it's not so much that you're learning them from, say, a book that you've uncovered or finding them out for yourself. You literally just basically getting experience points and then just putting them into a recipe to unlock them. Actually researching those recipes feels way too game-like. It would have been nice if there were other ways for you to actually learn those recipes, or more of those different kind of ways to learn the recipes instead of just using skill point. Anyway, enough of those negatives, let's get on to the positive side of things, and there's quite a few. Firstly, this game, like I said, is a great time sink, and it gives you that Animal Crossing feel of where you can just zone out, just do different things, whether that be making new items or just exploring the worlds and getting materials. It's very good at just letting you chill out and just play how you want to play when it comes to the exploration. I really enjoy that side of these games, like all of these games to be fair, in this franchise. And it's always the case with the Atelier games. The enemy designs are extremely cute in some ways. Other times you get some really cool and actually somewhat threatening looking enemies. So it's a very good balance between the two, but you do get to see more of the cute enemies. But when things, when they knuckle down, when they really want to get to you, that's it. You do get those more terrifying looking enemies, which is great. And while I did say that it was annoying getting the recipes for the skill points and all that stuff, the actual alchemy side of things, the making of the items, is still really fun in this system. It's very much streamlined compared to some other Atelier games that I've seen, but it's not a bad thing that it is streamlined. It's very simple. If you want to make this side of things better, if you want to make this ability better, if you want to add these traits, it's very easy to see what you're actually going to do and how you're going to do it. And another thing that I really liked was the fact that the items that you make don't have a limit. And it doesn't mean that it's just like going to explode or whatever. What I'm saying is when you use those items, you get to keep using those forever and ever. It's basically like a key item. However, you can, if you make a better version of it, you can just get rid of the old version or give it to a different character, which is a nice touch because some of the other games, just using those items, you really felt bad because you're like, I really don't want to waste it, but at the same time, I want that material. Whereas this doesn't matter so much, which is good, because if you really make a great item that you want to keep forever, it actually lets you this time. There's also ruin exploration, and the way it's done is pretty good in some ways, but can put some people off, and I'll explain why. The actual exploration of ruins is fine, it's just like every other area, but you get an item where you have to seek memory fragments. So you search the ruins for these memory fragments, and then you do almost like a Sherlock Holmes mind palace thing, where you have a clue and you have to match the memories to those clues. It can be a little bit tedious. I could see people getting a bit frustrated by that, but personally I enjoyed it. It had a nice little almost detective side to this game, which was a quite a nice change of pace. So I would like to see more in-depth versions of that. Some of it was pretty easy. It basically just tells you which ones go with which, especially in the tutorial, it literally does. But you do get the clues. Some of them can be a little bit different, and you'll be like, oh, okay, does that actually go with that? But more often than not, you'll figure it out. So if they did actually have a bit more depth to it, I would have loved that even more. And another quality of life improvement is that the map is great in this game. I know it's a very strange thing to say that a map is good, but it shows you clearly any points of interest. It shows you what enemies are on the map, where they are, what boss enemies or the giant enemies or the unique enemies are on the map. It also shows where all the quests are, any specific talking points, where all the shops are. It shows it so clearly, which just makes life so much easier. So if you want to see those events, if you want to interact with certain characters, you can literally pop your map up and then see where they are and go interact with them. It's such a nice touch. And finally, the last thing I want to talk about is the battle system. And yes, I know it's taken me this long, but I actually really grew to like the battle system a lot. At first I thought it's fine. It's an active time battle system, similar to your old Final Fantasies. You use your turn and then that's pretty much it. However, you get to combo your moves, so you can do your regular attacks, then throw in some of your skill-based attacks or abilities, or you can use your items and chain those together. It's very clever the way it works out, so you don't use any MP in this game. It's all ability points, which you gain throughout the battle. Is that you get those ability points and then use skills whenever they're ready or when you're able to. It's just a very clever way of doing things and adds a bit more speed and a bit more punch to the battle system instead of it just being click to do this move, click to do that move. And it also like the ability to defend yourself, and if you time it correctly, you get a perfect defense. It doesn't nullify the damage or give you a counter option, but it does boost your gauges, so it lets you do your better skills quicker, and it also reduces the damage a lot more as well, as opposed to just regular defending. It can be a little bit clunky as far as timing goes, so you can't just defend as soon as you finish your attack. You have to wait for the defend button to show up, but other than that, there's no real issues with it. So for those of you that do have that kind of itch, those casual, just chilled out, wholesome itch where you just want to play a game and just zone out, just absorb the areas, absorb the scenery, I can easily recommend this game. If you're looking for a very in-depth, very technical, very battle-oriented, very story-driven, like a very good story-driven RPG, this might not be what you want, which is, it's not really a shame that that's the case, but I would still say if you can get this game cheap enough, if you get this half price or lower, definitely worth trying it out if you have not played any of the games in this franchise before, because it does a lot of things really well, which I think more RPG players should give a go. Even if you think it's too cutesy for you, try it.